Hamish Robertson. So happy to be back chatting with you again today. I've got great news. We're going on a trip. Today we're going to the Kelvin Art Gallery and Museum in Glasgow. So I hope you've got a pencil and a piece of paper or a sketchbook handy, and off we go. Kelvin Art Gallery and Museum is one of Scotland's most popular free attractions. The collections at Kelvin are extensive, wide-ranging and internationally significant. They include natural history, arms, armour and art from many art movements and periods of history. The most famous painting on display at Kelvin is the Salvador Dali masterpiece, Christ of St John of the Cross. We're going to be looking at an exhibition called the Glasgow Boys. The Glasgow Boys were a group of radical young painters who represented the beginnings of modernism in Scottish painting. They were a group of artists who lived and worked around Glasgow, but who were inspired by Dutch and French art. Many of them studied art in Paris. Their work was characterised by big, bold, vigorous painterly brushstrokes. Most of their work took place between 1880 and 1890. At this time, Glasgow was a hub of industry. They all shared an admiration for naturalism. That's painting people or objects in a natural setting, people going about their everyday lives. While they were creating their images, they were trying not necessarily to paint a picture of Scotland, but paint a picture of real life, human existence. That was Lachlan Gowdy for the National Galleries. This movement pushed back against sentimental, shortbread tin style paintings of Scottish country life. Right class, in you come, in you come. Right, crowd round. Come further in. Can you all hear me from where you are? Excellent. This first painting we see before us is actually one of my favourite paintings ever. The Druids Bringing in the Mistletoe. This is by George Henry and Edward Atkinson Hornell. Here we see the rite of bringing in the sacred mistletoe and showing a group of Druids or Celtic priests in richly decorated ceremonial robes. They are proceeding down a steep hillside in a solemn procession. The mistletoe is cut from a sacred oak tree by a golden sickle held by the chief Druid that we can see at the front there. I love this painting mostly because of the colours. I love the use of gold, I love all the intricate detail, and I love how this painting makes me feel. This next painting is by John Lavery. He was an Irish painter who lived in Glasgow at the time. This painting is of Anna Pavlova. She was a Russian ballerina and the most celebrated classical dancer of her time. I particularly enjoy the colours and the vibrancy in this painting. You really get a sense of a stage light pointing at Anna Pavlova and the movement of her dancing and the way that the fabric is flowing around her. The third painting we approach now is by James Guthrie. This painting is called A Highland Funeral. Guthrie became one of the leading painters in the Glasgow Boys. In this painting, the sombre colours really captured the mood of the crowd. It's a sad occasion. We see the minister on the left-hand side raising a hand, as if leading the prayer. The crowd have their heads bowed. We get some clues as to the time of year. It looks as if there's well-trodden snow on the ground and on the roof of the building behind them. Everyone is wearing lots and lots of layers to keep them warm. You can imagine quite how miserable this scene would be to be a part of. James Guthrie really affects the viewer in that way. Our last painting in this exhibition today is by George Henry. George Henry spent a lot of time in Japan and this influenced his work. The painting that we're looking at just now is called Poppies. In the centre we see 4 young women surrounded by wildflowers. The flower that dominates this scene is the poppy. And again, thinking about everything that we've learned about the Glasgow Boys movement, this painting uses broad brush strokes, it's very expressive. And if we compare the colours in this painting compared to where we started at the beginning, the Druids, you can see that there's a really similar colour palette being used. Now your task, just like I would ask you if we were really in a gallery, is to pause the video on one of the pictures at the end of this, take 15 minutes or so, sketch on a piece of paper, in a notebook, on a sketch pad, wherever you can, and do a study of what you're looking at. I'm going to include a little study that I've done of the Druids painting so you can see what I'm expecting. In this one, I've done a quick sketch of the composition and I've tested out some colours with some paints I have. You don't have to do that, but you can make notes about the use of colour in the painting. upload your work to the online classroom and I can't wait to see what you create.